ఇంటర్మీడియట్ విద్యారంగంలో అగ్రగామి మన ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్. ఐఐటి, జేఈఈ అయినా, నీట్ అయినా తిరుగులేని విద్యా సంస్థ ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్.
So we are in the discussion about the flower. Now in the flower we are discussing all the 4 floral parts of the flower. What are the 4 floral parts of the flower? We have calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. So if you take all 4 floral parts, we were in the discussion about calyx. We were in the discussion about what we call calyx. Calyx is also referred as sepals. Calyx also referred as sepals. So we have already discussed what is meant by the condition called as polycephalus and gamocephalus followed by acephalus. So these are the things when we take the here poly means many sepals, we talk about here many sepals, and in this case coming to this sepals are fused we talk, and here sepals are totally absent. Sepals are totally absent. So when we take the polycephalus condition, many sepals are there. Gamocephalus means sepals are fused. Acephalus means sepals are totally absent. Now if you look at the sepal exactly in the flower, when you look at, so this is the flower if you make it. So if you take, this is the thalamus on which what we find the green colored ones, it's called calyx. Imagine after fertilization, let us take this here. After fertilization, the flower has converted into fruit. After fertilization, the flower itself, the calyx, or you say here, the flower after fertilization converts into fruit. You have to understand this. Flower after fertilization converts into fruit. How this happened, we will study later the story of that when you talk about the fertilization. But at the time of fruit formation here, generally the calyx and corolla, they will get fall off. They will get fall off. That means here what happens here, suppose if you take this is the stigma, when you take this is the stigma, and here on the surface of stigma what is falling, it's called pollen grain. What is falling here, it's called pollen grain. So when we take the pollen grain is falling on the surface of the stigma here, the pollen grain forms what is called pollen tube. Here it forms what is called pollen tube. Just for the sake of an idea, I am telling you, you may get a small doubt in your young mind how the flower converts into fruit. For that purpose I am just giving you the just small clarity here. But we are going to discuss in detail about this in later part of the class, in later part of the lesson. At that time you will understand. But let us know the basic part here. When you look at here, when pollen grains are falling on the surface of the stigma, the pollen grains forms the pollen tube, and this pollen tube will enter into the ovary. Here we talk about ovary, fuses with the ovule and lead to formation of what is called zygote. Zygote lead to formation of the seed, seed lead to formation of fruit. So why am I telling all the entire story here? This is the actual concept we are going to study later. But to understand this, especially when I say the statement here, flowers are converted into fruit. So what happens here when flower converts into fruit here, what happens to other parts? What are the other parts? We find here calyx, we find here corolla. Calyx and corolla both will get fall off. They generally they will get fall off. So you can see slowly this may lead to formation of the same structure when you take here. The same structure when you take here, the flower will get completely, it will disappear. Now the total flower itself is converted into a structure which we call it as a fruit. It develops into a structure called as fruit. So basically if you look at the terminologies here, when the corolla and calyx generally they get fall off. But if you take the general conditions like calyx and sepals, now if you take this is calyx and sepals, we have 3 conditions. What are they? Caducous, then we find deciduous, and then we find what is called as persistent. What are the three conditions we represent? We find caducous, then we find deciduous, and we find what is called as persistent. So, when you say caducus here, we say calyx or sepals fall off before fertilization. It will get fall off before fertilization. What is the meaning of this? Calyx or sepals fall off before fertilization. Before the fertilization here, before conversion of the flower into fruit, before formation of fruit, a calyx or sepals, they will get fall off. Then such type of calyx is called caducus calyx. Generally based on the fall off or they remain present, whether calyx remain present or absent, based upon the condition, calyx is divided into three types. Caducus we say, deciduous and persistent we say. Now when you take the caducus here, calyx or sepals, they get fall off before fertilization. Before fertilization, when calyx and sepals fall off, such kind of condition is called as what? Caducus. Deciduous. Now if you take the deciduous here, now what we can see here? Now calyx or sepals, they get fall off after fertilization. They get fall off after fertilization. So when calyx and sepals fall off after fertilization, meaning what here? Flower is converted into fruit, until that the calyx is there. Even after formation of fruit also the calyx exists here. Even after formation of fruit also the calyx exists here, but after that the calyx will get fall off. When calyx fall off after fertilization, it is called as deciduous. It is called as what? Deciduous. The calyx or sepals, they get fall off after fertilization. That means now flower converted into fruit. Now you can see the fruit here. Then here the sepals will get slowly fall off. So here what is the difference you can make out? Before fertilization, after fertilization. So I repeat again, calyx or sepals, if they fall off before fertilization, it is called caducus. Take down the example I am writing here. This happens in case of argemone. Where it happens? This happens in case of argemone. Coming to deciduous, in this calyx or sepals fall off after fertilization. So here we can take the example such as brassica. Brassica, when you take, it is nothing but what we call mustard. Okay, so this is argemone, caducus, and mustard, brassica, what we find is deciduous. Now coming to persistent, when you take here, I say calyx or sepals remain attached to, calyx or sepals remain attached to fruit, remain attached to fruit, right. So that means they will not get fall off, or better you write down, do not fall off and remain attached to fruit. Okay. So in this case, when you talk about here, calyx or sepals do not fall off and they remain attached to the fruit. So here in this case, the best examples you can take capsicum, that's you know, it is called as chili, and also you can see solanum, right. So you can take what is called as solanum. Solanum, you can take Solanum melangina, it is nothing but brinjal. brinjal. So here if you take persistent when we make it, calyx or sepals do not get fall off and remain attached to fruit. For example, capsicum if you take we find chili, solanum if you take melangina, that is nothing but brinjal. Now you know in chili, actually I thought of getting chili and I forgot. Anyway, if you take the chili, generally on the chili on the surface you can see green colored ones. Not only this, even if you take this is chili if you take, now on this you find green colored one. Okay, let us imagine this is chili. In Telugu we say todam, we remove no outermost one, like whenever we make chutneys and all that. This is what is calyx, this is what is sepal. And similarly in case of tomato also, in case of tomato and here you find like this, right, this is in case of tomato. Even in case of brinjal, very clearly you can see in case of brinjal, so this is what is nothing but calyx. So this in case of brinjal and this is what in case of tomato. Okay, so when you take here on the chili, on the green chili here, what you find here is nothing but what? Calyx. On the green chili, what we find here is nothing but calyx, calyx or sepal. What type of calyx is this? It is called persistent. Why do you call persistent? It will not fall off before fertilization or it will not fall off after fertilization. It will do not fall off at all and remain attached to fruit. It remain attached to the fruit throughout the lifespan. It remain attached to the fruit. Such type of calyx is called as persistent calyx. Even you can see this is nothing but calyx in case of tomato and this is nothing but calyx in case of brinjal. So tomato if you look at, can you observe the common thing in all these three? What is the common thing in all these three? Guys, I told you, you have to remember scientific names. Family wise I told you, if you remember, we discussed about Solanaceae. So in Solanaceae family, the brinjal also belong to Solanaceae. Tomato also belong to Solanaceae, even chili also belong to Solanaceae. Generally you know that Solanaceae we call it as, it is called as a vegetable family. Generally it is referred as what? A vegetable family. Okay, so when you take this here, what is brinjal scientific name? Solanum melangina. What is the tomato scientific name? I think I given you for the previous classes, right? Lycopersicum esculentum. Okay, Lycopersicum esculentum. It is commonly called tomato. Similarly, what is brinjal? I wrote this. Solanum melangina. It is commonly called as brinjal. Capsicum frutescens is commonly called as what? Chilies. And any time if you get a question that what type of calyx is present in chili, brinjal, tomato, then try to remember it is nothing but a persistent calyx. Sometimes they will give you question that persistent calyx is characteristic feature of which family? Persistent calyx is found in which family? At that time you have to remember the answer is nothing but Solanaceae. The answer is nothing but Solanaceae. So all the time the comparison will come from a Fabaceae and Solanaceae. I think this part is visible. This visible. Let me check it at 1 second. Excuse me. Yeah, sorry and excuse me, let us continue with this. Yes, it is visible. Fabaceae, and then we find what is called as Solanaceae, and then what we call it as Liliaceae. Guys, do remember in every chapter we find examples of Fabaceae, Solanaceae and Liliaceae, and whatever the example we are discussing in that concept in that chapter, you need to remember that basically the characteristic feature of the families. The plant when you speak as an example, for example when I take brinjal, so brinjal wherever I speak Solanum melangina, that also represents the family called Solanaceae character. So here remember whenever I ask you later like What is the one of the characteristic of Solanaceae? You can tell me means you all can remember and tell me what is called persistent calyx. So remember for Solanaceae one of the characteristics let me write down. So here I am writing Solanaceae. Remember one of the character is nothing but what? Persistent calyx. It's nothing but what? Persistent calyx. Then we also have members like Liliaceae. Liliaceae also have some special character not found in Fabaceae and Solanaceae. So what is that you have to remember when I discuss with you. Similarly, Fabaceae also have some special characters not found in Solanaceae and Liliaceae. Specifically for the NEET point of view, you have to remember the specific characteristics of the family. One of the there are so many characteristics which are present only in Solanaceae, absent in Fabaceae and Liliaceae. There are few characters. In that characters, one of the character is nothing but persistent calyx is seen in Solanaceae, absent in Fabaceae and Liliaceae, mostly found in case of Solanaceae. Right. So, this is what is nothing but what we call calyx or sepal. Now, let us continue further. Now, when you take the part of the study here, so here let us study next what is called petals. So in this case let us talk about corolla. Corolla also called as petals. So here actually corolla or petals, when you look at functions, if you look at, mostly it may be colorful petals are mainly meant for pollination. Especially for entomophilous pollination. What is entomophilous pollination? That means the pollination is by insects. What is entomophilous pollination? The pollination is by insects. Okay, so when you take the colorful petals in what way they helpful means mostly they attract the insects. Mostly they attract the insects for the nectar. When insects come and land for the nectar, in unknowingly the legs of the insects may carry pollen grains. All of you know very well, in lower classes you studied the transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma is called pollination. So, transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma is called pollination. In a flower, the colorful petals helpful for entomophilous pollination. What is entomophilous pollination? That means pollination is by insects. Pollination occurs by insects. Now, if you look at now this petals or corolla, it is again 3 types. We find the conditions like apetalous. Similarly, we find the condition called polypetalous, and then the condition called as gamopetalous. Okay. So, when you take apetalous condition here, apetalous meaning petals are totally absent. Remember, whenever you get the condition apetalous means in that flower petals are totally absent. So, where do you find such kind of condition? We find in the plant name called as Saraca indica. We find in this case called Saraca indica. Apetalous condition means petals are totally absent. So, when you take the petals are totally absent, you can take example Saraca indica. Coming to polypetalous, guys, I am telling you, don't ever imagine poly means many and many petals. No. Generally people will come to the conclusion that poly means many So, if there are many petals, then it is called polypetalous. No, it is wrong. Polypetalous means no doubt petals are many, no doubt, but all petals are free, they are not fused. So, here we can say that petals are free, they are not united. Free means what? Not united, not joined, not fused. They are not fused, all the petals are free. Then the such type of condition is called as what? Polypetalous. So, polypetalous, you can take the example for the polypetalous. The best example is nothing but hibiscus. Best example is nothing but hibiscus. So, in this case petals are absent, it is called apetalous. Then coming to polypetalous, petals are free, not united or fused, that we find in case of hibiscus. Meaning what here? So, if you look at, say this petals like this, so they are not attached to each other, right. So, here you can take very clearly not attached, and from the center you can see that this is what is hibiscus flower, right. So, here when you take the hibiscus flower, as petals are free here, the condition is called as what? Polypetalous. Then coming to gamopetalous, in this case petals are fused. Petals are fused. The best example is nothing but datura. Best example is nothing but datura. Okay, so in datura, you can see that, okay, people know mostly how to draw the datura flower, right. So, here in this case, this petal is completely fused with this is completely fused with this, and this is fused with this. So, one petal is completely joined with other petal, one petal is completely fused with other petal. As petals are joined together, as petals are fused here, the condition is said to be gamopetalous. Petals are fused. For example, what we find is nothing but datura. Okay. So, apart from this, let us talk about a shape of the corolla. When you take the shape of the corolla right here, shape of the corolla means in different flowers we find a different shape of the corolla. General conditions, let us take disc shape and funnel shaped, bilipid shape and all that. So, let us take the first one is nothing but it is like tubular shape corolla. Let us take, there are so many types. So, let us take the shapes here. Tubular shape corolla, there are many different shapes. For our understanding, let us take few examples. So, this we find in case of disc florets of Asteraceae. Disc florets of Asteraceae. Asteraceae members. See, I told you for the last class we find what are called as Fabaceae, Solanaceae, Liliaceae, 3 families. See guys, in our first year botany textbook in biology part, even we find what is called Asteraceae. So, apart from Fabaceae, Solanaceae and Liliaceae, even we also find some of the characteristics of what we find called as Asteraceae. So, whenever Asteraceae is also one of the most prominent example, and most of the times the plants of Asteraceae we discuss for different concepts. So, whenever Asteraceae we discuss, make sure that you make a note of it, because Asteraceae members are the examples for the few important concepts. So, along with the 3 families, most commonly we find for Malvaceae and Asteraceae. So, here Asteraceae members, if you remember, disc florets. Guys, where we have discussed earlier in the inflorescence, where in the inflorescence we studied about racemose inflorescence with sessile flowers. You remember, in racemose inflorescence with sessile flowers, we studied the subcategory called as, what is the subcategory? Head inflorescence. In head inflorescence again we discussed about simple head, compound head. Simple head is further divided into homogamous head Heterogamous head. There we discussed about Asteraceae like Tagetes marigold plant, right? Vernonia, all these plants will come under Asteraceae. Asteraceae members, they show head inflorescence. That's one point you have to remember about Asteraceae. And the next point is nothing but generally in Asteraceae members, if you look at the shape of the corolla, it will be tubular. So, very commonly few examples of the shapes we are discussing. There are so many different shapes of the corolla are there. For our understanding, we are taking very few shapes. So, if you take the tubular, it will be like this. Tubular means disc shape like this. Tubular ones, tubular corolla we say. So, tubular shaped corolla we take disc florets of Asteraceae. Similarly, I am writing the shape of the corolla aside. This is A, let us remember A. Now, I will continue writing here. So, here also I am writing shape of the corolla. What is the first one? A tubular shape. Next one, let us take a funnel shaped corolla. I am writing here funnel shaped corolla. C for corolla. Funnel shaped corolla we find in case of Datura. Funnel shaped corolla we find in case of Datura. See, this is Datura. See how the corolla is? It's like a funnel shape, like a funnel, like funnel shape. It is like a funnel shape. So, like somewhat depth inside you can see what funnel, if you look at the, it will be somewhere little depth inside, right. So, it is like funnel shaped corolla. So, here itself I am writing, in this case you find what is called funnel shaped corolla. Guys, if you take most commonly the classes of morphology, most of the time, most frequently repeated examples you can take hibiscus, Datura, right, pea plant, beans plant, right, tomato, potato, along with that solanum, right, and Asteraceae, members of Asteraceae. These plants, they will get most repeatedly, we will get it. If you take the morphology part, most repeated examples in morphology, you need to have a clear idea. Hibiscus we will discuss number of times as an example for different concepts of morphology. Datura, Pisum sativum, pea plant, beans plant, tomato, potato, solanum, Asteraceae. These are the most repeated examples in the morphology. Whenever these examples will come, start writing the concepts under this. Hibiscus is example for what are the concepts of morphology. Datura is an example for what are the concepts of morphology, and Pisum, beans are the examples for what concepts. What are the concepts you have studied on these examples? When you make a list of them, you will get so many concepts. For example, just I told you hibiscus is polypetalous condition, right? Yesterday we discussed about, for the last class we discussed about what? Epigynous, perigynous, hypogynous. There also hibiscus we studied as an example. Calyx we studied as an example, right? Similarly, Datura. As to for calyx, Datura example will come. Gamopetalous corolla, Datura example will come. Now, funnel shaped corolla, Datura examples will come. So, if I ask you the question, Datura is an example for what all the concepts of morphology means, you need to have a clear idea. So, you can take one small assignment. So, start writing these plants, and these are examples for what concepts. You can make good list that makes you to gain good marks in the final NEET, right? That is how you need to practice morphology. The more is a practice you make for remembering examples, in that way you can attend the questions, even the questions are intertwisted or they are interconnected with other chapters, right? Yeah. Now, apart from this, we even can take C, that is other type, that is other shape. We see a bilipped corolla, bilipped shape corolla. This is commonly we find in case of Ocimum, we find in case of Ocimum. If you observe in case of Ocimum, here you find a corolla like this, You observe the ocimum. In ocimum you find it is like tongue shaped or bilipped, having two compartments it looks like. So bilipped corolla you find in case of ocimum. Apart from this, wheel shaped or tubular shaped we find. Wheel shaped most commonly we find in some of the like oxalis and on some other places where it exactly looks like a wheel like this. Wheel shape, like it will be like this, wheel, better you make it like this. So there you find is nothing but some members of oxalis of the corolla. So we can remember some species of these, they show some variations. Anyway, let us come to the once again the types of corolla. So if you take the corolla or petals, they may be colorful for the sake of entomophilous pollination, to attract the insects, to bring the pollen grains to undergo fertilization. Now the corolla or petals, based on the arrangement, they are of three types. Maybe in some flowers we find the condition called apetalis, meaning petals are totally absent. You can take the example Saraka indica. Coming to polypetalous, petals are free, not united or fused. You can take the example hibiscus. Then gamopetalous means petals are fused. For example, we can take datura. Right. Apart from this, we are taking different shapes like tubular. You can take example disc florets of Asteraceae. It may be funnel shaped corolla in case of datura, a bilipped corolla in case of ocimum, or we may be wheel shaped in some members of oxalis. Yeah. Let us continue further. So we just have discussed about the corolla. Now let us see the arrangement of corolla. The arrangement of corolla is called as aestivation. What it is called as aestivation. So what is aestivation meaning? The arrangement of floral parts. Which floral parts we are mainly speaking about? Here mainly either we speak about calyx or we can speak about what is called corolla. Either we can speak the arrangement of sepals or here we can speak the arrangement of what are called petals. Right. So when you look at, either you can see how sepals are arranged, how petals are arranged, but mostly aestivation we can study very easily, and we use the term for the study of arrangement of petals. Mostly aestivation is a concept we study for the study of arrangement of petals. Mostly we talk about petals because it is easy for us to see the petals how they are arranged, because it is quite little difficult for sepals to observe, because in some flowers sepals are smaller in size. So aestivation is nothing but, let us take arrangement of floral parts, especially the arrangement of petals. Right. Now let us study now here the types of aestivation. Let us study about the types of aestivation. So based upon the arrangement we have different types of aestivation. Right. So let us study one by one. We have few types of aestivation. The first one is nothing but a valvate aestivation. Valvate aestivation. What is a valvate aestivation in this case? Now if you look at it is like this. Let us take 5 as a common like this. So when you look at when you take the flower, take the flowers and the petals will be there, and we are making the cut like this horizontally. When you make the petals, let us say my 5 fingers, let us take 5 fingers are like 5 petals. Now these petals, they are not overlapping one above the other. So here in between these petals no overlapping. So valvate aestivation is nothing but arrangement of petals without overlapping, without overlapping, meaning there is no overlapping. Margin of one petal do not touches with the margin of other petal. Margin of one flower will not touch with the margin of other flower. So you can see they all are free. They are not joined, they are not fused, all are free. Right, such type of arrangement which we call it as what? A valvate aestivation. Right. Now, apart from this we can also take here valvate aestivation. You can take example, I am writing here the valvate aestivation example, Calotropis. The example is nothing but Calotropis. Right. Next one is a twisted aestivation. A second category is a twisted aestivation. Now, coming to the twisted aestivation, earlier case we say without overlapping. Now, what you can see is nothing but I will draw the twisted aestivation here. Now, the arrangement of petals, I am writing the same thing, arrangement of petals with overlapping. What we have written earlier? Without overlapping. What are we writing now? With overlapping. With overlapping. Now, look at the diagram. When we say the diagram here, one overlaps onto the other. Let us draw somewhat for a bigger one so that you can make sure that you can have some clarity here. So, when you look at in this case, it will be like this. One petal overlaps onto the other petal like this. So, draw this one properly. So, here margin of the flower or margin shows overlapping. Margins of the petals, they show overlapping, meaning what? Petal, one margin of the petal overlaps onto the other. Similarly, one margin of the petal overlaps onto the other. So, they overlap and they get twisted. That is why it is called as a twisted aestivation. Where do you find this? This we find in case of, see, again hibiscus example has come. Hibiscus rosa sinensis, it is commonly called as China rose. Ebulmascus esculentum, Ebulmascus esculentum, this is commonly called as lady's finger. See, I have given the new scientific name today, it is most commonly used one. What is that? Ebulmascus esculentum, it is commonly called as what? Lady's finger. You know the bendi. Bendi is most commonly edible one vegetable, that is scientifically it is called as Ebulmascus esculentum. Even try to remember, guys, this belong to Malvaceae. Ebulmascus esculentum belong to Malvaceae. Apart from this, even you can take the example cotton. Right, this is what we call it as a twisted aestivation. Now, let us go with the next one, what we call it as imbricate aestivation. Imbricate aestivation. In this case, when you look at the arrangement of petals is irregular. Arrangement of petals is quite irregular. So, if you look at the arrangement, maybe you can take, suppose one petal is completely inner side, let us take one petal is completely an outer side, let us take other petals in between, you can take like this. So, let us, we are drawing 5, no, so let us make it as 5 petals, let us make it very clear, make it little bigger so that it is visible to you. Irregular arrangement of petals, the type of overlapping what we find is a completely, it may not be like this. So, one will be like this, other one will be like this, and this makes like this. So, one overlaps above the other. Now, this overlaps onto this, so that this will come like this overlaps, one is inner side, one is outer side. Other one is outer side, completely one is outer side, one is completely outer side. So, let us make this as a completely inner side. This is completely inner side, this is completely outer side. Other ones are arranged irregularly, irregular arrangement, or you can say irregular overlapping, better you can write irregular overlapping. Such type we find in case of You know, most commonly the members of what you call Fabaceae members like pea plant. Pea plant scientifically it is called as what? Pisum sativum, and other one is called as beans. Or better you take down, I will give you for Fabaceae, other one I will give you, because in Fabaceae you have one more mechanism. Let us take this one, you can take example like Cassia as well as Gulmohar. Cassia and Gulmohar. Pea plant and bean plant also shows in imbricate aestivation, but that will come as a type of imbricate aestivation. That is very, very important. Let me give you pea and beans separately, a type of imbricate aestivation. For imbricate irregular arrangement, better you remember the example Cassia and Gulmohar. Why? Because pea and beans you will get a cushion. What is that cushion? Descending imbricate. That I will continue further. Now first of all look at these three categories. What is the first one we have? A valvate aestivation. Here no overlapping. Remember the examples, Calotropis. What is the second one? Twisted aestivation. Here you can see margins are showing the overlapping. What are the examples? Hibiscus, Ebelmascus, cotton. Try to remember the common names. What is imbricate aestivation? Arrangement of petals with the irregular pattern of overlapping. Try to remember the example Cassia and Gulmohar. Now we have one more category. The fourth category which we have to discuss about pea and beans. Both of them fall in the category called as imbricate itself. They fall in imbricate, but separately they will be referred as, it is referred as very, very important, descendingly imbricate aestivation. Imbricate aestivation. What is the category we call? Descendingly imbricate aestivation. So if you look at this case, one larger petal we find, let us take one larger petal, it is called as standard petal. Let me give you completely at a time one writing on the board. So if you look at in this case, one largest petal, this largest petal it's called standard petal. This largest petal itself is called as what? Standard petal. One largest petal what you find here, it's called as what? Standard petal. Very, very important. Enclosing to this we find two lateral petals. The diagram should come straight, guys. I hope it's clear. So let us make it straight. So here it will be like this. Yeah. So these two will be two lateral petals. There are two lateral petals, and these lateral petals are called wing petals. They are called wing petals. And this encloses two small keel petals. So here two small anterior fused petals, better you can write they are fused, and these are called keel petals. These are called as keel petals. So what is the number? 1 plus 2 plus 2. So we write the arrangement as 1 plus 2 plus 2 arrangement. Where do you find this descending imbricate? We find in case of pea plant, that is Pisum sativum, bean plant, that is Dolichos. Pisum we can take, and we can take what is called Dolichos. Now look at the arrangement. Come again. What is the upper one you find? One largest petal, it's called standard petal, which encloses two lateral petals. They look like a wings. They are called wing petals, and two small anterior, they are fused. See here, they are joined, they are fused. Remaining all are free, but they are fused. Very, very important. Which direction they are present? They are present towards anterior side. Two small anterior side, they are fused, called as keel petals. So what is the arrangement we call 1 plus 2 plus 2 arrangement, and this is itself they make piston mechanism. They will make what is called piston mechanism. We remember we will study about piston mechanism at the time of Fabaceae. Nothing, whenever the insect will try to sit on the insect, this is insect, when insect try to sit on the standard petal, it presses down, lateral petals, wing petals will come up, they supply nectar and helps in pollination, that we will study later, but try to remember descending imbricate aestivation, very important characteristic feature of Fabaceae, that is why rhizome and beans. Okay, standard petal, 2 wing petals, 2 keel petals, it is called descendingly imbricate aestivation, Fabaceae, pea and beans.